Well, our next guest is best known, I should say, as the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the most well-known personal finance books. And by the way, he doesn't recommend going near the stock market. Let's bring in Robert Kiyosaki, who's here in Singapore with me, and he's here in Singapore to speak at the Masters of the Century conference. Great to have you with us, Robert. You started getting into finance by melting down your toothpaste and looking at the elements out of that, speaking of minting new millionaires. So tell me, what is your strategy? Because you don't like the stock market.
No, I'm saying the stock market's at all-time highs, and I don't doubt they minted half the new millionaires. The question is, will you hang on to that money? Because never in the history of the world has the stock market been this high, floating on debt, and most of the American credit it's on corporate credit right now, and many AAA companies like General Electric are now BBB, one level above junk. So it's floating on all this fake money, as I call it, and that's my concern. So I'm glad people are getting rich, but there's a lot of people, when this market comes down, and it will get wiped out.
One of your main strategies, and I guess how you've worked out your wealth as well, is by taking risks, and as they say, fortune favors the brave. But you're also really heavily invested in some of the stalwarts, the likes of gold and the like. So tell somebody, what some of the strategy could be when you look at a lot of different asset classes, because we know that you've kind of got to have your finger in a few pies.
Right. I always recommend to invest in what you love. I love real estate. I love gold and silver. I've started a gold mine, a silver mine, taking them public on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and I just love oil. So I'm only investing in what I love. I love being an entrepreneur, and I really never had a job, so I'm just doing what I love. If you love stocks, invest in stocks. If you don't love stocks, invest in something else, But I like gold because gold is God's money. Gold and silver have been here since the earth was formed, and it'll be here long after we're all gone. So gold will always be here no matter what the markets are doing. So that's why my foundation is gold, the second layer is real estate, and the third level is intellectual property of patents and things like this. That's my wealth. So
it's interesting, Robert, that you say that savers, quote, are losers and nobody gets rich by saving. Discuss.
Well, it's what you save. My book, Fake, fake money, fake teachers, and fake assets. In 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And most people don't know what that means. Well, it means the U.S. government could print as much money as they want. So why would you save money? So it did good, for 71 till 2008, it worked. The market kept going up on all this fake money. But the moment it starts to come down, you get wiped out. But at the same time as the market was going up, interest rates were coming down. So the value of your money was coming down, and the volume of money was going up, and interests were coming down. That's why I say savers are losers. So today, there's $14 or $17 trillion in cash earning negative interest rates. This has never happened before in the history of the world. So why would you keep saving? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, let's just look at this also, because getting to the nub of it, I guess, is part of what your next book is the Ravens, isn't it? Which is how to predict, how to prosper, and how to prepare the future for the future here. Tell us about that in a nutshell. I know you've written a book about it, and you could probably talk about it for hours.
Well, Ravens is written with my co-author, Jim Rickards. He wrote Currency Wars, and the last one, The Road to Ruin, and things like this. He and I are very good friends. I called the 2008 crash. In January of 2008, I was on Wolf Blitzer saying the market was going to crash. Lehman was going to go down. In September, it came down. So Ravens is about how Jim and I predict the future, so you don't have to be a victim of the future. It's very crystal clear what's going to happen. So that's why in 2008, instead of getting wiped out when the markets crashed, I just waited for the market to crash, and I bought $300 million worth of real estate at very low interest rates. So markets going up, markets going down, it really doesn't make a difference if you know what's going to happen. So that's why Jim and I wrote Ravens.
You like real estate, you like gold. You were saying gold, has always been here, it's always going to be here later. What do you think of some of these new assets that are sort of still being created? So in the cryptocurrency space, the like of Bitcoin, Ethereum.
I think it's so interesting. This Bitcoin stuff, they're taking on the Fed. Do you know what I mean? They're taking on one of the most powerful banks ever created. And they're messing into their territory. That's like me taking on McDonald's. They're going to step on me. So I think I'm here in Singapore. I know Singapore is adopting to crypto or what's they call blockchain technology. So I think it's a very exciting time. Personally, I'm a Technosaurus Rex. I can barely use a cell phone. So I'd best stay out of cryptocurrencies. But if you're a young person and you like crypto, it might be your place. Again, everything is just do what, or invest in what you love. I love businesses. I love gold. I love silver. I love real estate. I love using debt as money because in 1971 the dollar became debt. And I love paying no taxes legally. But you can only do that if you know what you're doing, have good attorneys and good accountants. So,
Robert, final question from me here. Just a corollary, you're saying how to prosper, how to predict. So tell us, get your crystal ball out. What is next? What is going to happen? What are the asset classes that you're looking at?
That's a really great question. I have 2 books coming out for 2020 because things are really heating up. One is Ravens with Jim Rickards, a very, very prominent guy in America. He's at LTCM, the CIA, and the Defense Department. But the second book is Who Stole My Pensions? Because in 2008, what brought down the market was the subprime debt market, the derivatives. What's going to bring down the next market are pensions. America's pensions are woefully underfunded. And so right now, that's what's driving the stock market up. So it's ironic for my generation, the baby boom generation, we don't have retirements. And they've been buying these really high risk investments from Wall Street. And that's what's going to bring down the next market crash. I think 2022 to 2025, if I was a gambling man.
And you always say, Robert, threats are opportunities. So perhaps anyone listening can listen to some of your concerns and threats and see them as opportunities.
Correct.